أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا لله وإنا إليه الراجعون. I ask you, how many times did Aba Abdullah say this holy verse? How many times did he say Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un? Over these past 10 nights we have cried for Aliyun al-Akbar, we have cried for Abul Fadl al-Abbas, we have cried for Qasim and Aun and Mohammed, we have cried for the companions of Aba Abdullah. Today now we have gathered to remember Aba Abdullah. Sayyidi ya laytana kunna ma'akum fanafuza wallah fawzan azima. Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Ridha has said, Inna yawm al-Hussain akrah jufunana wa asbal dumu'ana wa azil azizina وأورثنا الكرب والبلاء في أرض كرب وبلاء. Imam Ali ibn Musa has said that the day of Hussain, the day of Ashura, has made our eyes bleed and has caused tears to be shed and our noble ones to be humiliated, and it has caused us pain and tribulation in a land of pain and tribulation. Ya mu'mineen, today our 12th Imam is shedding fresh blood out of his eyes instead of tears. He can see the events of Ashura unfolding before his two eyes. He describes some of those scenes in Ziyarat al-Nahiya, in which he says, Assalamu ala al-shayb al-khadib, Assalamu ala al-khadd al-tarib, Assalamu ala al-badan al-salib, Assalamu ala al-tha'r al-makru' bil-kadhib. He says to his grandfather, he says, peace be upon the bereaved and the patient one. Peace be upon the one who was without a helper. Peace be upon the one whose rights and dignity were violated. Peace be upon the one whose sanctity was desecrated. Peace be upon the one whose blood was shed unjustly. Peace be upon the one who was bathed in the blood of his wounds. Peace be upon the one who was buried by the strangers in the villages. Peace be upon the one who was slaughtered in public. Peace be upon the gray hair that was dyed with blood. Peace be upon the cheek that was covered with dust. Peace be upon the front teeth that were beaten with a rod. Peace be upon the head raised on a lant. With the dawn of the 10th day of Muharram, Imam Hussain led his followers for the morning prayer. Then he wore his grandfather's armor and turban and put on his father's sword. He then stood in front of them, ready to begin the battle. He gave the flag to Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Then he said to them, O people, track back my lineage and see who I am, and then think to yourselves whether it is right for you to violate my sanctity. Am I not the son of your prophet's daughter? Am I not the son of your prophet's successor? Was Hamza the master of martyrs not my father's uncle? Was not Ja'far my uncle? Have you not heard the words of the Prophet? Hassan and Hussain are the masters of the youth of paradise. At that moment, one of the La'in comes forward and he says, Oh Hussain, give the oath of allegiance towards the Khalif. Amir al-Mu'mineen's son says what? He says, I will never give you my hand like a humiliated man, nor will I flee like a slave. Wallahi yu'tikum biyadi ta'al dhalil wa la ufirru firar al-abid. This is exactly what Amir al-Mu'mineen said. Umar ibn Sa'ad came forward with 30,000 troops. He took an arrow and placed it in his arch, and he released it in the direction of the Imam's camp. Then he said, bear witness for me with the Amir that I was the first to shoot. The Maqtal says that the arrows then followed like rain, causing injuries amongst the companions of Hussain. They say that when the dust settled, 50 of the Imam's companions were killed in the first ambush. Abu Abdullah is now all alone. Everyone has gone. All the family members, all the companions have gone. Even the 6-month baby has gone. Now Abu Abdullah is all alone. So he's about to mount his horse, and he says, Ala hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anybody that will aid or come to my aid? Is there anybody that will help me? At that moment they say that Abu Abdullah mounted his horse, and he heard a voice from behind saying, come back, O Hussain, come back. We want to see you one last time. So the Imam dismounts, he goes back, he comes out again, he mounts his horse. Another woman calls him, oh Abu Abdullah, come back, we want to look at you one last time. The Maqtal says multiple times Abu Abdullah would mount his horse, he would dismount, he would mount, he would dismount. And then finally, when he sits on the horse for the final time, he looks back and says, Ya Zainab wa ya Kulthum, Ya Ruqayya wa ya Rabab, Hadha akhirul wida. This is my final farewell to you. Be patient after my death, for you have a huge trial that is coming. The Maqtal says at that moment, he heard a voice from behind, Mahlan mahla, Yabna Zahra. Slowly, slowly, O son of Zahra, let us look at you one last time. Zainab comes out, she says, oh my brother Hussain, can you come down from your horse? He says, what is it, my sister? She says, please alight down. Abu Abdullah alights. He said, what is it, Zainab? He says, I remembered something when our mother Fatima was on her deathbed and she was leaving this world. She said to me, oh Zainab, I will not be there in Karbala, so I want you to do something for me. She said, what is it, mother? She said, when Abu Abdullah is leaving for the final time, I want you to kiss his neck and I want you to kiss his chest. So Abu Abdullah asks, why my neck? Why my chest? Because you know, Abu Abdullah wasn't killed from the neck. Shimr turned Abu Abdullah around. He cut him from the back of the neck. So why the front neck? They say because Hurmala is going to fire an arrow directly in the neck of Abu Abdullah. Why the chest? She says, because my mother told me that the horses of Bani Umayyah will trample on the chest of Abu Abdullah. So say the Zainab kisses his chest. She kisses his neck. She turns towards Medina. She says, Assalamu alayki ya ummah. Peace be upon you, O mother. I have done what you have asked me to do. Then finally Abu Abdullah again alights onto his horse. As he's about to go, his horse does not move forward. So Abu Abdullah looks at his horse and he says, look, I know you're tired. I know you're tired. I know you're thirsty. I know you're wounded. I know you're injured. We are the Imams of mankind and the Imams of animals. He says, I understand, O Zul Janah, you are tired, but just take me to the battlefield one last time. You don't even need to bring me back. Just take me one last time. The horse began to look down towards its hooves as if to say, Ya Abu Abdullah, I would never disobey you, but look down and see, then you'll understand why I am not progressing. The Maqtal says, Abu Abdullah looked down. What did he see? He saw a 4-year-old girl hugging the foot of the horse and crying out loud, Oh horse, please do not take my father towards the battlefield. Everybody that has left has not returned. I am Sakina. I do not want my father to go. So Abu Abdullah comes down from the horse. He picks up his daughter. He kisses her. He says, Sakina, do not cry. My heart is already broken with the fall of Ali al-Akbar. My back is already broken with the fall of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. I cannot see clearly with the fall of Qasim. Sakina, please do not add anguish to my already broken heart. Please do not cry. But once I am gone, Sakina, you can cry as much as you want. And the Maqtal says, the last thing Abu Abdullah says to his daughter, he says, oh my daughter, this is my farewell. I will see you again on the day of resurrection by the pool of Kauthar. Oh Sakina, if you see me on the ground with my face in the earth and my vein bleeding from a knife, do not worry, Sakina, I am going towards my Lord. So Abu Abdullah prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put Sakina to sleep. So she goes to sleep and he places her inside the tent. Now Abu Abdullah mounts his horse. Now he is going in for the final time. He enters into the battlefield. He introduces himself. I am Hussain, the son of Ali. I have come to defend my father and the religion of the Nabi. As he's introducing himself, he looks towards the left and right. Nadara yamina wa shimala. He looks left and he looks right. What does he see? The Maqtal says he sees his body of the companions and his family like sacrificial lambs laying across the plains of Karbala. So he says what? He says, Ya Abtal al-Safa wa ya Fursan al-Hayjar. O heroes of the battlefield, O warriors of the war, Mali unadikum fala tujibun. I am calling you. Why are you not responding to my call? If you are asleep, I am begging you, please wake up. This is Hussain. I need your support. Then he says, O Habib, O Zuhair, O Burair, O Habib ibn Madair, O Muslim ibn Ausija, O my Ansar, where are you today? The Maqtal says, at that moment, their dead bodies began to tremble on the plains of Karbala to say, Ya Abu Abdullah, give us the permission. We will come back to life and we will defend you 1,000 times over. Abu Abdullah goes into the battlefield. He fights ferociously, killing many of the enemy. Then he comes back to the tent. He enters into the tent of who? Syed al-Sajideen, Imam Zainul Abidin. Imam is ill, right? So he's asleep. Abu Abdullah comes. He looks up at his father. What does he see? He sees blood on the face of his father. So he looks at his dad. He says, Ya Abu Abdullah, Aina Habib? Where is Habib? He says, Qad Qutil. Habib has been killed. He says, Aina Muslim ibn Ausija? Aina Zuhair ibn al-Kain? Aina Hur bin Yazid al-Riyahi? He says, they have been killed. They have been killed. Then he looks at his father and he says, Oh father, Aina Abul Fadl al-Abbas? Where is Abul Fadl al-Abbas? He says, you see this blood on my face, oh my son? This is the blood of your uncle Abbas. He says, Aina Aliyun al-Akbar? Where is my brother Aliyun al-Akbar? He said, Aliyun al-Akbar has been sacrificed. He says, understand this, Sajjad, only you and me are the two males remaining in this entire camp. At that moment, the Maqtal says, Imam Sajjad stood up. He had a stick and a sword. He was using the stick and the sword to balance himself. Imam Hussain says, Zainab, take my son back. Don't let him come out, or the nasl of Ali Muhammad will be severed. Then he gives him the Nabuwa and the Imama relics. Then Abu Abdullah comes for the final time. As he's fighting, he's very thirsty. He hasn't had water for 3 days. So he goes and conquers the riverbank. He enters into the water. Abu Abdullah is there. At that moment, Shimr says, Oh Hussain, you are drinking water while we are attacking your tents and women. Abu Abdullah throws the water back. He does not take a single sip. He leaves and mounts his horse. As he's fighting now, we will come towards the final moments of Abu Abdullah as narrated within the Maqtal. They say that Abu Abdullah charged like an angry lion, killing many of them. He was fighting for such a long time. Since the morning of Fajr all the way till the time of Asr, Abu Abdullah was carrying the bodies of all the shuhada, carrying the bodies of all the family members. He was tired, he was weak, he was thirsty. So Abu Abdullah paused to rest for a moment. At that moment they say a mal'oon by the name of Abul Hatuf. He hurled a stone in the forehead of Abu Abdullah. The Maqtal says blood began gushing down his sacred head. So Abu Abdullah took his shirt to wipe away the blood from his head. As he lifted his shirt up, Hurmala fired an arrow that pierced the heart of Abu Abdullah. It came out from the other side. Abu Abdullah screamed, Bismillah wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah, in the name of Allah and by Allah and by the nation of his Prophet. Abu Abdullah removes the arrow from the other side. Blood began pouring, so he scoops the blood in his hand. The Maqtal says he smears his beard with the blood and he looks up and says, Ya Allah, this is how I will meet you on the day of judgment. This is how I will meet my grandfather. At that moment Abu Abdullah is fighting. What happened? An individual comes forward. They say, Ya Fatima, Kumi lan tufuf, Hada Husainun Ka'batu Suyuf. Oh Fatima to Zahra, come to Karbala. Have a look at your Hussain, the way he is covered in arrows and swords. Imam Sadiq said, every strike was on top of another strike. Every wound was on top of another wound. Take your minds to Karbala. Every strike was on top of another strike. The Maqtal says, Aba Abdullah looked like a hedgehog with the amount of spears and arrows and swords that hit him. Whoever had a sword, they hit him with a sword. Whoever had a spear, they threw their spears. Whoever had an arrow, they fired their arrows. Those who had nothing, they picked up the rocks of Karbala, began pelting Aba Abdullah. Those who couldn't find rocks, they picked up the sands of Karbala, began throwing the sands at the face of Aba Abdullah. The Maqtal says, at that moment, Aba Abdullah fell, but when he fell from his horse, he didn't land on the ground. He had so many arrows in his body that his body was up from the ground. He wasn't on the horse, he wasn't on the ground. Aba Abdullah was on a bed of arrows, a bed of swords. At that moment, a person says, I came forward, I came to unalive Aba Abdullah. He says, I looked into his eyes, I saw the eyes of Rasulullah. And what did Hussain say? He said, وَحَقَّ جَدِّي أَنَا أَتْشَانِ, I swear by my grandfather I am thirsty. Is it possible that you can give me a drop of water? Shimr says, no, we will not give you a single drop of water. Then what happened? They all began attacking him. Sayyidah Zainab comes out of her tent. We come to the final words. Sayyidah Zainab comes out of her tent. She's standing where Tilla Zainabiyya, 70 steps away from the Qatalgah. Aba Abdullah is on the ground. They say that Aba Abdullah was so wounded that if they left him, he would have died anyway. That's how wounded he was. Yet what happened? Umar ibn Sa'ad said, let's go and attack him, charge him, finish him. Sayyidah Zainab comes outside of her tent, and what does she say? She says, Ya Muhammada, wa ya Aliya, wa ya Ja'fara, wa ya Hamzata, Hada Husainuka fil ara, Kasirum bi Karbala, O Hamza, O Ali, O Ja'far, Ya Rasulallah, this is your Hussein being slain on the plains of Karbala. At that moment, they say that a guy by the name of Ibn Sharik, he struck the Imam on the left shoulder. Ibn Numayr hit him on the right shoulder. Sinan bin Anis stabbed him in his collarbone. Then they hit him in his chest. Then they shot him with another arrow. Aba Abdullah at that moment is now shaking on the plains of Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab comes out and she looks towards who? She looks towards Umar ibn Sa'ad. She says, Hey Umar, ayaqtulu Aba Abdullah wa anta tanzuru ilay. Aba Abdullah is being killed and you are watching him. What are you doing? The Maqtal says he turned his face away from Sayyidah Zainab. He began crying. Then he said, finish Hussein, finish him. But no tribe wanted to come forward. No tribe wanted to take that responsibility. So what happened? They all collectively came towards Aba Abdullah. Sayyidah Zainab says, I couldn't see Aba Abdullah any longer. What happened? Final words. She says, Sayyidah Zainab looks up and she says, Wayhakum, ama fikum Muslim. Woe be unto you. Is there not a single Muslim amongst you? This is the grandson of the Prophet. This is the daughter. This is the son of Zahra. What are you doing? At that moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad says, go forward, Shimr, and finish him. Shimr says, I approached Aba Abdullah. He says, the first thing that I did. Do you want to hear what happened? The first thing that I did, Shimr says, I came and I kicked the Imam with my foot. Then he says, وَجَلَسَ عَلَى صَدْرِي. Then I sat on his chest. عَلَى خَيْبَتِي. Then I grabbed his beard in my hands. He says, then I took my dagger. Then he said, I placed it where? On the neck of Aba Abdullah. Then I cut him 12 times. I cut the neck of Aba Abdullah. He says, then I severed his head. At that moment, Imam Zainul Abidin comes out of his tent. Sayyidah Zainab says, Oh Sajjad, where is Hussein? I can't see Hussein. Imam Sajjad said, Oh Amma Zainab, don't look on the ground. Look at Ufaq Karbala. You want to see Hussein? Look towards the skies. So Sayyidah Zainab looks up. She sees the head of Aba Abdullah raised on a spear. So Imam Zainul Abidin says, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwa'i allati hallat bifina'ik alaykum minni jami'an salamullahi abadan ma bakitu wa bakiya al-laylu wa an-nahar. Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain وعلى أصحاب الحسين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون